versus phase with 0 to infinity. That is the magnitude of open loop transfer function is j omega h omega. Discuss about polar plot. Okay, that is the you can write down polar plot of an open loop transfer function is the plot polar plot of an open loop transfer function is the plot between its magnitude and phase, right? Of its magnitude is yes. Is it audible? Like this is the polar plot of an open loop transfer function. Is the plot of its magnitude versus phase. Magnitude versus phase when omega varies from 0 to infinity. Okay. So basically, if I say the magnitude, if I say the magnitude that I can denote is mod of j omega into h j omega. Okay. So this is your magnitude. Then if I go for the phase, that is angle of j omega h omega, that is the phase. Here omega varies from 0 to infinity. So basically the polar plot is the locus of vector, this one, mod of j omega. This is, you can write down, again I am repeating, you can write down, the polar plot is the locus of the vector mod of j omega h omega and angle j omega h j omega, and omega varies from 0 to infinity. And omega varies from 0 to infinity. So in the polar plot, you will see the measurement. If you go for the this is your imaginary axis, and this is your real axis. Okay, and you go for the phase angle, there will be like this is 0 degree. Then in anti-clockwise, you will find the positive angles. In anti-clockwise, 0 degree, 90 degree. In this, that is 180 degree, 180 degree. Then this will be 270. Then this is 360. Right, but this is in anti-clockwise direction. You are going with positive angles. If you go for the negative clockwise direction, there will be, this is 0 degree, and this will be minus 90 degree. Okay, in clockwise direction, you will find the negative phase angles, 0, minus 90, minus 180, minus 270, and again here minus 360, like that. Okay. So basically, how will you find out? What are the steps to find out the polar plot? First, step number 1 is to determine the transfer function g of s of the system. Put s equals to j omega in the transfer function to obtain g j omega, right? Suppose it's given g of s equals to g of s is equals to 10 divided by 1 plus 5s. Then how will you determine? First you have to find out g j omega. That will be the new transfer function j omega. Now you will go for step number 3 is it visible to you? Yes. বুঝিপারছো না বুঝিপারো না বুঝিপারলো তো কোন কলি ফার্স্ট হচ্ছে g of s লিখিলি তারপরে put s equals to j omega in the transfer function to find out 10 divided by 1 plus 5 j omega. বুঝিপারলো? I have put only j omega in place of s. এদিকে যে বুঝিলো তো? ಇದು বুঝিবারই নাই এতে. But no one is replying. Okay, now you have to find out the magnitude and phase. The magnitude and phase is omega equals to 0 and at omega equals to infinity. I can write it like this. First. I'm taking omega. Then I'm writing magnitude and phase. Okay. So first I will take omega equals to 0, then omega equals to infinity. What will be the magnitude and phase? How will I calculate? First I will take magnitude. How will you determine the magnitude? This is my transfer function. So magnitude of g j omega will be. How will you determine the magnitude? কেতে হবো? আরে magnitude এটার কেতে আসিব? magnitude কেতে আসিব রে? Imaginary value of complex number का magnitude केमती calculate करो? x plus iy. केमती करो? Root over. So in the numerator it is already constant value, so that will be 10. Then mod of 1 plus 5 j omega. That will be x square plus y square root over, right? How will you find out? X square is 1 plus 5 root over. So you have to, I can say this is 10 divided by 1 plus 25 omega square root over, right? Then I will go for the phase. I will go for phase. It is how will I calculate the phase? Constant, that is 0. Phase angle is 0. Then for the denominator, that is minus, এটা কেমনে আসছে tan inverse y by x. So that is tan inverse y by x, 5 omega divided by 1. That is 5 omega. ঠিক আছে না নাই? ঠিক আছে না নাই?
ম্যাম
Yes.
ম্যাম সেটা 1 minus 25 omega square root over হবে না? তাই না ম্যাম j square তো minus 1 না?
So when you calculate the magnitude, complex number of magnitude calculate করছো complex number of magnitude calculate করলে কেমনে করছো x square plus y square এর root over হচ্ছে রাইট আর এটা আমরা তুমি ইউজ করো না x square plus y square এর root over x square plus y square এর root over যেটা ভুলে যাই বলতে এবার না তো
Yes, ma'am.
So that will be minus tan inverse omega. So we have a table to fill up kariba, but what is the table? You have to first take omega equals to 0, then you have to take omega equals to infinity. What will be the magnitude and what will be the phase? You have to calculate. So if I take omega equals to 0, then this term will be 0. 25 omega square will be 0. Yes or no? This term 25 omega square will be 0. If I take omega equals to 0, then this will be 0. So rest will be 10 divided by 1. So magnitude will be 10. Now the phase will be
0.
This is tan inverse 0. So that will be 0. Phase will be 0. Now put omega equals to infinity. Put omega equals to infinity. So the denominator it will be infinity. So 10 divided infinity. Anything divided by infinity, that is 0. So if I take omega equals to infinity, that will be 0. Now in the page, tan inverse infinity will be tan inverse infinity.
Minus pi by 2.
Minus pi by 2. That will be minus 90 degree. So now if you draw the polar plot, now if we say we draw the polar plot, okay. So omega equals to 0 starts with magnitude 10. Starts with magnitude 10. Phase angle 0 means that will be on the x-axis itself, right? On the x-axis itself. So that is magnitude 10 with phase 0, or I can say, I can write it here, omega is equals to 0. Okay, now from that the plot will start with omega equals to 0 to omega equals to infinity. Omega equals to infinity, the magnitude is 0. At omega equals to infinity, you can see the magnitude is 0 and phase angle is minus 90. Minus 90 means what? This is plus 90. Plus 90. This is 0, 90 degree, 180 degree, 270 degree. So this will be minus 90 degree, right? So here with magnitude 0. Magnitude 0 means on the origin. So your focus will look like this. It will start from omega equals to 0 and end at omega equals to infinity. Okay. So there is for this example, you can see it is on the x-axis, right? It is the x-axis. For another, if I take another example, write down another example, that is 10 divided by s plus 1 into s plus 2. S plus 1 into s plus 2. Tell me what will be the magnitude and what will be the phase? S equals to j omega first, then find out the magnitude and phase. Magnitude will be, tell me, it is slow. Quickly. Magnitude will be 10 divided by, it is 1 plus j omega. 1 plus j omega means 1 plus omega square of root over of 1 plus omega square, then root over of 2 plus, sorry, 4 plus omega square. ঠিক আছে না নাই? Whether it is correct or not, at least
Yes,
tell me
ma'am.
that one. And the phase will be constant is there. Yes. আরে এটা কমপ্লেক্স নাম্বার ফাইন্ড আউট, গুগলে সার্চ করো হাউ টু ফাইন্ড আউট দ্য ম্যাগনিটিউড অফ এ কমপ্লেক্স নাম্বার। Find out the magnitude of a complex number. X plus iy, that is root over of x square plus y square. Tan inverse omega minus tan inverse y by x, omega divided by 2. ঠিক আছে তো? Minus tan inverse omega divided by, minus tan inverse omega by 2. ঠিক আছে না নেই?
Yes, ma'am.
চলো সার্চ করো magnitude of a complex number. ঠিক আছে তো? x square plus y square root over. তবে জানি পারলো? Now tell me, put omega equals to 0 here. In the magnitude, put omega equals to 0. So this will be 0, omega square here also 0. So root over of 1 into root over of 4. 10 divided by 2. Magnitude will be 5 and phase will be omega equals to 0. Omega equals to 0. Here you have to put omega equals to 0. Omega equals to 0. Put kal kaun ase wo? Phase will be minus tan inverse 0 minus tan inverse.
Ma'am, 0 होगा.
Right. And if you put infinity, anything divided by infinity will be 0 and phase will be jaldi
Ma'am, minus 5.
minus 180 degree or minus 5. Right. So how will you draw the polar plot? See, you will start with omega equals to 0. We will start with omega equals to 0. From this, if I take omega equals to 0, magnitude is 5 and phase is 0. Means on the x-axis itself, right? So this is omega equals to 0, magnitude is 5, phase is 0. From here it is starting. Okay, now it will end at omega equals to infinity. That is, their magnitude is 0 and phase is minus 180 degree. Minus 180 degree means this one, because if you go clockwise direction, you will find negative phase angle. Right? So 0 minus 90, this will be minus 180. So it will end in minus 180 degree with magnitude 0. With magnitude 0. Omega equals to infinity. Magnitude is 0. Right? So here you can see this plot is crossing the imaginary axis. Yes, no, it is crossing the imaginary axis. So how will you find out this point? How will you find out this point? You have to rationalize the function g j omega and separate the real and imaginary part. Then equate the imaginary to 0 to determine the frequency of the plot. Invert real axis. And similarly, you have to make real part 0. Real part 0 to determine the plot, the intersection point with the imaginary axis. The intersection point with the imaginary axis. So we have to find the intersection point with the imaginary axis. So if we want to find out the intersection point with imaginary axis, means real part of this. Excuse me. Real part should be 0. So first you have to rationalize this one. This equation you have to rationalize. How will you rationalize? 10. It's 10 divided by 1 1 plus j omega into 2 plus j omega. Right. So now I have to rationalize this one with 1 minus j omega multiplying 1 minus j omega and 2 minus j omega in denominator and numerator. Correct or not? Correct or not?
Yes, ma'am.
So find out करो. खाली yes ma'am कहले हबनी find out करो. So I can write down is numerator. So now I can say that my numerator will be 10 into 1 minus j omega into 2 minus j omega. You can open the bracket and it will be 2 minus 3 j omega minus omega square. Is it correct or not? Is it correct or not? अरे ठीक है ना नहीं?
Yes, ma'am.
So I'm just distinguishing real part and imaginary part, separating real part and imaginary part. Minus this middle term is only imaginary part, right? So this will be 30. So it will be minus 30 j omega, right? This is minus 30 j omega. And numerator you are getting, but more numerator now find out how. If I see, I have to equate the real part with 0, right? Because I have to find out this point, intersection point of the plot with the imaginary axis. Here the real part will be 0, mana nahi. Y axis रे किछि point find out करबा बोले x axis रो value 0 ही हेतिबो, x axis component 0 हेतिबो, mana nahi. And mana nahi, you are not even answering. Are you getting my point or not? Am I audible? Really?
Yes, ma'am, it's audible, ma'am. Ma'am, आपको voice कटि जाउछ, ma'am.
କିଛି କଟୁନି, ମୁଁ ଆଉ ଗୋଟେ ଡିଭାଇସ ରୁ ବି ଲଗଇନ କରିକି ଅଛି. Tell me.
Ma'am, omega value root 2 आछछि.
You are getting omega equals to root 2. Very good. Then you have to put omega value root 2 in the magnitude. In the magnitude here you have to put omega equals to root 2. So that will be 1 plus 2, and here it will be 4 plus 2. So how much you are getting? 10 divided by root 3 into root 6. 10 divided by root 3 into root 6.
Ma'am, 2.357.
2.357. So this is the point 2.357 at omega equals to root 2. At omega equals to root 2, you are finding the value, the magnitude 2.357. Okay, the magnitude is 2.357 and it's at omega. Here omega equals to root 2. Okay, if it crosses, suppose plot the suppose, okay, plot will be like this. minus 270 degree end होता था. Then it will cross the real part, the real axis. If it cross the real axis, then what will you do? The imaginary component from here you will separate the real part and the imaginary part, right? So you will take the imaginary part, you will equate the imaginary part is equals to 0. Then from that you will find out what is the intersection point in the real axis.
Yes, ma'am.
So now we will go over this much is your polar plot. How to means general plot. Okay. Now we will go further. Okay, we will go for the phase margin, gain margin, and stability. Phase margin, gain margin, and stability. Okay. So how to find out the phase margin, gain margin, and stability? See, this is the phase crossover frequency. This is the polar plot where the polar plot crosses the real axis. This is the polar plot. জানি করছো তো? জানি করছো না নাই? This is your polar plot. Where the polar plot crosses the real axis, that point, intersection point, is your phase crossover frequency. That intersection point is your phase crossover frequency. Okay. And at phase crossover frequency, what will you find out? We will find out gain margin. We will find out gain margin. Gain margin is equal to, suppose I am naming this as point P. Or naming করতে omega PC. Omega PC, right? And the point I am, suppose notation is given P. P point. So gain margin will be 1 divided by mod of, this is O and this is P. O, P. বুঝি পারলাম? বুঝি পারলাম না নাই?
Yes, ma'am.
1 divided by mod of O to P. Okay. This is your gain margin. This is your gain margin. 1 divided by mod of this one is your gain margin. Now, see, this is the critical point, that is minus 1 J0. Minus 1 J0 is your critical point. Is called as your critical point. This point, minus 1 J0. And this circle is called as your unit circle. Unit circle means the radius is 1. Radius is 1. Okay. So at minus taking the radius 1, you will draw one unit circle. You will draw one unit circle. When the unit circle cross the polar plot, that is called as your gain crossover frequency. That is your gain crossover frequency. Okay. And your phase margin. This is your phase margin. This is your phase margin. You can see this is your phase margin. This angle here. This angle is your phase margin by M. Where M is your phase margin. You can say that phase margin by M is equals to 180 degree plus phase at gain crossover frequency, at gain crossover frequency, or simply I can write down phase at omega GC. This is omega GC. Omega GC. At gain crossover frequency, 180 degree plus phase at omega GC. So now you can say that you can find out directly at phase margin, because 180 degree plus phase at omega GC you can find out, crossover frequency omega find out करके you can calculate the phase match. Okay. अच्छा, how will you determine the stability? How will you determine the stability? See, if this omega BC, see, is it visible? See, this is your phase crossover frequency if it lies in between the unit circle. Circle bhitere, if it lies inside the circle, then the system is stable. If it lies outside the circle, then the system is unstable. Got my point? बुझी पारलो? How to determine the stability? If your crossover frequency lies inside the unit circle, then the system is said to be stable. If it lies outside the circle, then this is called as your unstable system. बुझी पारलो? बुझी पारलो? So this is another example. You can see space of polar plot for 20 divided by s into s plus 1 into s plus 2, right? So step number 1, put s equals to j omega. Now this is gj omega. Okay, this is gj omega, and here it is the magnitude, and here it is the phase. Now you have to take magnitude. Omega equals to 0, omega equals to infinity. At omega equals to 0, the magnitude is infinity. And at omega equals to infinity, here you can say the magnitude is 0. Now go for the phase analysis. Phase is minus 90 minus tan inverse omega minus tan inverse omega by 2. Because this 90 is because of this omega, okay? Because of this omega. S here. This term is here, okay? So now this will be minus 90. At omega equals to 0, phase is minus 90. And at omega equals to infinity, phase is minus 270 degree. Minus 270 degree. So the magnitude the plot starts from infinity with phase angle minus 90. Infinity with phase minus 90. See, it starts from infinity with magnitude infinity. Omega equals to 0, magnitude is infinity, and phase is minus 90. Phase is minus 90. Phase minus 90, phase angle, and it starts from infinity, right? And it ends at omega equals to infinity. At omega equals to infinity, I am finding magnitude is 0 with phase angle minus 270. Minus 270. Minus 180 minus 270, and the magnitude is 0. Magnitude is 0. Right, on the origin, omega equals to infinity. And this starts from, अच्छा हमको direction भी दबा हुआ omega equals to 0 to omega equals to infinity. This is the starting point. Omega equals to 0 is your starting point, and omega equals to infinity is your ending point. Okay, now you can see, you have to find out the intersection, point of intersection. Okay, separating the real and imaginary part. First you have to rationalize this one. You have to rationalize this one. Then you are finding real and you are taking. This will be your real part, and this will be your imaginary part. You have to rationalize this one. Rationalize करने का आसो देखो, होना नहीं, होना नहीं. Like this, okay. And with data down multiply करेगा, so this will be your real part, and you are getting this as your imaginary part. Now you are here. This intersection point is on the real axis. As you can see, it is on the real axis, so you have to make imaginary part 0. You have to equate imaginary part 0. Okay, equate this with 0. So 20, this term equals to 0. From that you can find out omega equals to plus or minus root 2, and omega equals to infinity. Right? So now you have to put omega equals to root 2. Then you will find out the gj omega s. For omega equals to root 2, you will find out this one. Here you will put omega equals to, in the Here, in the magnitude, this is the magnitude. In the magnitude, you will put omega equals to root 2. Omega equals to root 2, 20 divided by root 2 into this term. You will find out which is your magnitude will be minus 10 by 3 with phase 0. And again, you will put omega equals to infinity. You will found magnitude 0 with phase 0. So now, this will be your point of intersection. This will be a point of intersection, that is omega equals to root 2 and your magnitude is minus 10 divided by 3. Now equate the real part 0. Now equate this part with 0, real part with 0. Okay, if you equate this part with 0, you will find omega equals to infinity. Okay, at omega equals to infinity, the real part 0 means on the imaginary axis. Real part 0 means on the imaginary axis. So at omega equals to infinity, as you know, this is magnitude is already 0. So this will intersect in this point. Right. And already you have calculated minus at phase minus 270 degree. Right. At minus 270 degree, please enter. বুঝিপারলা? বুঝিপারলা না নাই? How to find out this intersection point? ଗୋଟେ example ରେ ଆମେ intersection point with the imaginary axis find out କଲେ, ଗୋଟେ example ରେ intersection point on the real axis find out କଲେ. And stability, ସେଇ ହିସାବରେ unit circle ସହିତ ତମେ measure କରିବ. Unit circle ସହିତ କେମିତି measure କରିବ? See, this one is omega equals to root 2. Okay, at omega equals to root 2, the magnitude is minus 10 by 3. মানে this point is at minus 10 by 3 মানে কেতে আসছে କହିଲ? Minus 10 by 3 মানে কেতে আসছে? 3 point something? 3.33. Yes or no? So this is means তোমার unit circle বাহারে রহিব, because unit circle means radius is 1. Radius is 1. Yes or no? So obviously here you can see this is outside the circle, 3.33 radius. Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
So the system is stable or unstable? This is minus 3.33. Right. So the system will be unstable. বুঝিপারলো?
Yes, ma'am.
So we will go for the Nyquist analysis. Nyquist analysis. Okay. So means this is the extension of your polar plot. Okay. In some books you will find a polar plot itself is they declare it as Nyquist plot. Okay. But the Nyquist plot generally is the extension of your polar plot only. So that's why I have discussed polar plot first. The Nyquist plot you will find out the stability of closed loop system from the open loop system. Okay. So how will you do this one? This is called mapping. Okay. So the mapping will be done like this. If this is condition is for without poles. This is if the poles are not present at origin. Okay. This is with pole at origin. With poles at origin. Poles at origin means poles at origin মানে কেমনে জানিব? S term কোটে প্রেজেন্ট থিব তଳେ ডিনোমিনেটর 1 by s square means how many poles at origin? How many poles at origin? Right. So in the Nyquist plot ଆମେ କଣ କରୁଛେ? ଆମେ କୋଉ ବି ସିଷ୍ଟମ ର stability ଟା କେମିତି କରୁଥିଲେ ଯେ RH criteria apply କରୁଥିଲେ କଣ ଜାଣୁଥିଲେ? Roots should not be in the right side of the spline. Yes or no? ସେଇଆ ଥିଲା ତ? Right hand side of the spline ରେ roots present ରହିବା କଥା ନୁହଁ. Right, no roots are present in the right hand side of the spline. If roots are present in the right hand side of the spline, it means the system is unstable. So how will you find out the Nyquist plots? So basically, there is a theorem, mapping theorem, that is called n is equals to z minus p. Here n is equals to where n is equal to number of encirclement, number of encirclement of point minus 1 j0 and z is equals to number of zeros in right hand side, number of zeros in right half of the plane. P is equals to number of poles in right half of the plane. Okay, so basically according to this theorem, okay, first case is first we will see the path. First we will see the Nyquist path. From here, these two graphs, we will see the Nyquist path. So this one is your path number 1. This is your path number 1. This is your path number 1. And this is your path number 2. This is your path number 2. Okay. And here you can say the radius is equals to infinity. The radius is equals to infinity. That is your path number 3. This path is your path number 3. This is your path number 3. So here you can say this is your path number 1. This is your path number 2. And this is your path number 3. Here, एक गोटे छोट सर्कल खाली गोटे प्रेजेंट अछि देखि परछो 1 2 and 3. Yes or no? So these are possible poles. If the poles are at origin, so the poles at origin achi ethi, this will be generated, this small path, and another pole is there, another pole is there, then the small circle will appear, otherwise they won't. So this is path number 4. This is small circle, I can say this is my path number 4. Okay, this small circle. So first of all, this one, path number 1, that is, right up, path number 1. This is nothing but the polar plot of the given open loop transfer function. Path number 1 is nothing but the right up. This is nothing but the polar plot of the open loop transfer function. Open loop transfer function. Path number 2. This is path number 2. Path number 2. Right up. Path number 2 is a mirror image of the path 1. Path number 2 is the mirror image of path number 1. Path number 2 is the mirror image of path number 1. In bracket, you can write down mirror should be placed on the real axis. Mirror should be placed on the real axis. Okay. This is path number 1. Okay. And this is path number 2 is the mirror image of path number 1. Mirror image of the path number 1. Now path number 3. Path number 3. It has radius equals to infinity. You can see radius equals to infinity. Radius equals to infinity. So you can find out by putting s equals to r e to the power j theta. For path number 2, s equals to, you can write down, sorry, for path number 3. For path number 3, put s equals to r e to the power j theta. R e to the power j theta. And theta varies plus pi by 2 to minus pi by 2. Plus pi by 2 to minus pi by 2 plus pi by 2 to minus pi by 2. This is very very important. Plus pi by 2 to minus pi by 2. Write down. Path number 3 is the locus of a semicircle. Path number 3 is the locus of a semicircle with radius r equals to infinity. With radius r equals to infinity. ସମସ୍ତେ ଲେଖୁଛ ତ ଥିଓରି যারা କହୁଛି ଲେଖୁଛ ତ
Yes, ma'am.
ନହେଲେ ବୁଝିପାରିବନି କିଛି କ୍ୟାଲକୁଲେଟ୍ କଲାବେଳେ. So the path number 3 is the locus of a semicircle with radius r equals to infinity. And for path number 3, you have to put s equals to r e to the power j theta. Here r is infinity. R is to infinity. Okay. So suppose a simple example we are taking. Let's take a simple example first about 1 divided by s plus 1. 1 divided by s plus 1. Okay. So is there any pole at origin? Is there any pole at origin? Hmm? No. So path number 4 will be absent. Path number 4 will absent because path number 4 will only appear. Right down. Set up simultaneously लिखी दे. Path number 4 will only appear. Indicate करो. It indicate करो. नॉले खाली गोटे एते सारा न करके गोटे कर. Okay. Simply draw here. Okay. Path number 4. Path number 4 will only appear at if the transfer function has poles at origin. If the transfer function has poles at origin. If the transfer function has poles at origin. So this is your capital R. This is your capital R. That is the radius of the large circle. Okay. And this is the radius of the small circle. That is denoted as small r. That is denoted as small r. Okay. Right down. R is equals to radius of the small circle or radius of path 4 or radius of this is your path 4. Path IV path 4. Okay. Right down. Path 4 is a semicircle with radius nearly equals to 0. With radius nearly equals to 0. It is a semicircle. Path 4 is a semicircle with radius nearly equals to 0. And it is given as, and the r is given as epsilon e to the power j theta. Epsilon e to the power j theta. Epsilon e to the power j theta. Where theta varies from minus pi by 2 to pi by 2. Minus pi by 2 to pi by 2. से लार्ज सर्कल कौन थिला एटा पे कौन थिला theta varies from plus pi by 2 to pi by 2 minus pi by 2 कौन है नहीं अरे कौन है नहीं ये देखो plus pi by 2 to minus pi by 2 for r into the power j theta. Here epsilon, here we are taking epsilon e to the power j theta. For that theta varies from minus pi by 2 to plus pi by 2. Opposite direction. In this angle. Direction to immediate. direction to and minus to plus, and this is plus to minus. Plus to minus. বুঝিপারল না নাই? বুঝিপারল তো? Yes. Okay. So we will take an example. This one, 1 divided by s plus 1. Same. First you have to determine the polar plot. Step number 1. Step number 1 is you have to determine the polar plot. How will you determine the polar plot? Because path number 1 is your polar plot. তুমি জানিছো polar plot কেমতি করিয়া হয়? Yes or no? তো বলো জলদি জলদি করো। Magnitude of h. If you magnitude of h করো, magnitude will be, it will be 1 divided by 1 plus j omega. So the magnitude will be 1 divided by 1 plus omega square root over. Yes or no? Yes or no? And the phase will be minus tan inverse y by x omega by 1. So minus tan inverse omega. ঠিক আছে? ঠিক আছে। fill up करो, टेबल fill up करो। omega magnitude phase. तो also 0 magnitude 0 magnitude कितने?
Ma'am, 0 by 1 and infinity by 0. And phase will be 0 for 0 for infinity and minus pi by 2. It's minus 90 degree.
ঠিক আছে তো? So you can draw the polar plot. Okay, this is the real and this is the imaginary axis. Magnitude 1 with phase 0, that will be on the real axis, right? Magnitude 1 phase 0 at omega equals to 0, and it will be magnitude 0 with phase minus 90. Minus 90 means from this side, right? And the magnitude is 0. Magnitude is 0. Omega equals to infinity. Right. If you want to see whether what is the point of intersection, you can find out by equating real value 0, by equating imaginary part 0, rationalize करके तुम्हें find out भी कर पाएगा. Okay. So this is your path 1 from omega 0 to omega infinity. The direction will be from omega equals to 0 to omega equals to infinity. So this is path number 1. Now path number 2 will be the mirror image of that one. Will be the mirror image of that one. The direction को पढ़ देंगे. Direction को पढ़ देंगे को. Empty paper direction. उल्टी चलो. Mirror image, right? This is your path number 2. Now path number 3. Path number 3. See here in the mirror image by the direction will be reversed. The direction will be reversed. Path 1 to path 2 the direction will be reversed. Okay. Now you can go for path number 3. Path number 3 is the large circle. For that you will find out. You have to keep s equals to r e to the power j theta. Theta varies now. Plus pi by 2 to minus pi by 2. Right. So now you have to put s equals to r e to the power j theta. So that will be 1 divided by 1 divided by s plus 1. So it will be r e to the power j theta plus 1. Okay. And r tends to limit. You can say r tends to infinity. Right. So that will be 1 divided by infinity, or I can say 1 divided by r, if I take common r, into 1 plus e to the power, sorry, 1 divided by r plus e to the power j theta. This much is correct? Yes or no? If I take r common. Okay, now I can say this is 1 divided by r into 1 divided by 1 divided by infinity will be 1 divided by infinity will be 0. Yes or no? So 1 divided r, this term will be 0. So 0 plus e to the power j theta. Simply I can write out e to the power j theta. And this entire term will be 0. 1 divided by r also, that is 0. It is also 0. So I can say this. And the theta varies from, it will be 0 into e to the power j theta. 0 into e to the power minus j theta, and theta varies from plus pi by 2 to minus pi by 2. So already minus sign is there. So it will be minus j pi by 2 to 0 into e to the power minus j minus pi by 2. This I can write it. This I can write minus minus plus minus minus plus, and this is minus j pi by 2. Right. So the magnitude is 0 and the vector is at, so the vector is at origin. So the vector will be at origin as the magnitude is 0 here. যদি এটাকে ছোট টার্ম আছে খান্দা, then that will be your magnitude, and তোমরা path or direction টা भी সেভাবে চেঞ্জ হয়ে যাবে। আমরা path or direction কমপ্লিট করলে এটা করি। So this is 0, magnitude 0 আসছে মানে anything 0 into anything that will be on the origin. So তোমরা path number 3 will be absent. Path number 3, this is your path number 2. Path number 3 is absent for this case. And path number 4 is also absent as no pole at origin. Okay. Now if we see another example, this one. We go for this one. 1 divided by s into 1 plus 2s into 1 plus s. Okay, now put s equals to j omega. So now this will be 1 divided by j omega into 1 plus 2j omega into 1 plus j omega. ঠিক আছে? ঠিক আছে তো? তাহলে ঠিক আছে না নাই? For this you can find out your collateral. কেমনে find out করব? আমরা magnitude ଆଉ phase calculate କରିକି find out କରିପାରିବୁ। ଆମେ ଏଠି ତମର magnitude ଆଉ phase calculate କର କେତେ ଆସୁଛି? magnitude କେତେ ଆସୁଛି, phase କେତେ ଆସୁଛି calculate କର। ঠিক ଅଛି? omega equals to 0, omega equals to infinity. magnitude କେତେ, phase କେତେ? କହିଲ କେତେ ଆସୁଛି magnitude? omega equals to 0 ପାଇଁ magnitude କେତେ ଆସିବ? ଦେଖ କେତେ ଆସିବ? ଆରେ କହିବ ନା କହିବନି? ହଁ କୁହ ଜଲ୍ଦି କୁହ। magnitude ଆଉ phase ଅଲଗା ଅଲଗା କର, ଜଣେ magnitude କର, ଜଣେ phase କର। 1 divided by the root over of minus square into root over of this over 4. Magnitude will be h minus 90 minus 90. Then it omega equals to infinity. H has to give a minus 90 minus 10 inverse omega minus 10 inverse omega by 2. ঠিক আছে তো? 2 omega. 2 omega no omega by 2. Y by x. Tan inverse y by x. Y is 2. 2 divided by x. 2 by 1. Oh, sorry, sir. ঠিক আছে, ঠিক আছে। 1 plus 2 is 1. 1 plus 2 is 2. 2 omega. And then minus 270. So it would start with the polar plot would start from omega equals to 0. Omega equals to 0 the magnitude infinity. You can see magnitude infinity means that will start from infinity to start over with minus 90. Minus 90 means this y axis, negative imaginary axis, minus 90, and it will end at 0. It will end at 0, magnitude 0, with phase minus 270. This is your minus 270. Right. So this will be the plot. This will be the plot. So this is your path number 1. This is your path number 1. Right. This is the general polar plot of the value transfer function. Now what you have to find out is this point, this intersection point. So for this intersection point, the real part you have to rationalize the transfer function, and then you have to separate the real part and the imaginary part. Now for this intersection point, you have to equate this imaginary term. You have to equate this imaginary part 0. Equate this imaginary part with 0. Right. The imaginary part 0. Then you will get the point of intersection on the real axis, that is omega equals to 0.707. Omega equals to 0.707. Now put omega equals to 0.707 in the magnitude. In the magnitude, put omega equals to 0.707. The value we are getting is 0.66. The value we are getting is 0.66. This is 0. This point is 0.66. Okay, 0.66 this point. So 0.66 lies before 1J0. Yes or no? Unit circle ra bhitare lie korche na bahare? Whether it will lie inside the unit circle or outside the unit circle? Outside. 0.66. Ke kahile outside? Who told that this will lie outside the unit circle? Units. This is minus 1.00 and this is 0.66. Obviously, this will lie inside the unit circle. So this system will be
stable.
Then what you have to do for the request plot, you have completed part number 1. Yes or no? You have completed path number 1. Acha, after creation first let us discuss path number 1 and path number 2 is the mirror image. This is the path number 2. This is the mirror image. Path number 2, mirror image of, this is mirror image of path number 1. Mirror image of path number 1. Now, for path number 3. For path number 3, to know how to determine the path number 3, yes or no? To know how to determine the path number 3? बोला नहीं, find out करते रहे बोला नहीं. How will you find out path number 3? Put S equals to
R into E j theta.
J theta. Put it, and R tends to infinity. R tends to infinity. Right. So we will find out from plus pi by 2 to minus pi by 2. So the direction will be like this. The direction you will find like this, and the magnitude you will find out by putting S equals to R to the power j theta. You will find out the magnitude will be infinity, and the phase you will find out phase angle plus pi by 2 to minus pi by 2. Then you can connect this. Okay, like this. Because this starts from infinity, so we will connect from this end to this end. This is the overall liquid flow. And you won't get in small circle because okay, you can put R equals to small r equals to epsilon e to the power j theta, and then you can find out the small magnitude for the small circle, and you will find out that will be 0. That we will find out that is 0, hence it will lie on the origin itself. Hence it will lie on the origin itself. And then path determine kala pore what will you do? You will go for the Nyquist criteria, जो तुमको कही n is equals to z minus p. N equals to z minus p. Right. And n is the encirclement of the critical point. -1 j0. N is the number of encirclement of the critical point. If n is greater than 0, here you can write down, if n is greater than 0, it will encircle the origin in anticlockwise direction. It will encircle the origin in anticlockwise direction. In anticlockwise direction. If n is less than 0, it will encircle the origin in clockwise direction. It will encircle the origin at clockwise direction. If n is equals to 0, there won't be any mapping. And how will you find out the stability from this? If n is equals to minus p. Then only the system is stable. If n is equals to minus p, then the system is said to be stable. If n is equals to minus p, then the system is said to be stable. Okay. So how will you find out that one? Suppose take an example. Here you can say here OA means 0.66. It lies inside the unit circle. Right. The point -1 j0 is not encircled. So n is equals to 0. Pole is also 0. Right. So your z is also equals to 0. Hence the system is said to be stable. कौन पे? मैं जान 0.66 टा unit circle भीतर रहोगी. So the no pole will lie in the right hand side of the S-plane. Hence the system is said to be stable. If I give you another example, that is, you can write down 10 divided by s square into, this is another example, s square into s plus 1 into s plus 2. S plus 2. 10 divided by s square into s plus 1 into s plus 2. What you have to do is, first you can find out the polar plot. Right. First you have to find out the polar plot. First you have to write down the polar plot. Calculate magnitude and phase at omega equals to 0 and at omega equals to infinity. You will find out that omega equals to 0. It is magnitude. Magnitude के दस 10 divided by
मैम गोटे 0 गोटे infinity
कोटा 0 कोटा
magnitude मैम 0 ପାଇଁ आसी 0 and infinity ପାଇଁ
at omega equals to 0 magnitude is
infinity and for infinity it becomes 0
and phase
काढूच
then minus pi and at infinity कोटा minus 360 degree. Eta plus 180 na minus 180? Minus 180 and this is also minus 360 degree. Okay, let's try it. So it will start at omega equals to 0. It will start at omega equals to 0. The magnitude is infinity with phase minus 180 degrees. Suppose I'm writing this will be 0. This will be minus 90. This will be minus 180 degree. This is minus 270 and this will be minus 360. So it will start with magnitude to infinity, phase minus 180 degree. Here. Then it will end at magnitude 0 and phase angle minus 360 degree. This side. So this graph I am drawing is not that prominent. Okay, what you have to do is you have to draw it. जैसे तमे भलसे ड्रॉ करिवो ठीक अछि like this. It will start with omega equals to 0 and end at omega equals to infinity. Right, from 0 to infinity. Now this is path number 1. This is path number 1. Then you have to find out this point, this intersection point. Make the imaginary part 0. Whether you are going to make imaginary 0 or real value 0.
Ma'am, imaginary equal to 0.
Imaginary equals to 0 you will find out omega PC. You will find out omega PC, crossover frequency. That will lie on the real axis. Is of the data jago point find out first you have to equate the real part 0. If you equate the real part 0, then you will find out the intersection point on the imaginary axis. Right? On the imaginary axis, real part is 0. Then you have to equate the imaginary part to find out axis. The point on the real axis, whether it encloses inside the unit circle or outside the unit circle. Next thing we will find out path number 3. Path number 3. How will you find out? By keeping L is equals to R, capital R, e to the power j theta. This find out whether you are getting any magnitude or not. For path number 4, you will put S equals to small r e to the power j theta, where r you can write down epsilon e to the power j theta. Epsilon e to the power j theta. Small r equals to epsilon e to the power j theta. That is nearly equals to 0. That is nearly equals to 0. And this is nearly equals to infinity. So I guess this you will path number 3 you will find out magnitude 0. Okay. And for path number 4 you will find out the magnitude is infinity. For path number 4 you will find out magnitude is infinity and the direction is from plus pi by 2 to minus pi by 2. This direction will be from plus pi by 2 to minus pi by 2. First you have to make sure path number 2 is the mirror image of this one. Path number 1. Path number 2 is the mirror image of path number 1. Right? Path number 1, path number 2 fill up hegala. Path number 3 you won't get in path number 3 for this case. Okay. And for path number 4 you will see that the magnitude is infinity and the direction is from plus pi to minus pi. So your plus pi is in this direction, minus pi is in this direction. Mano nahi, theta jaka a same direction to rahebo nahi. This is plus, minus 180 also, this is plus 180. Yes or no? This will be 90 plus 90 plus 180 plus 270. ठीक है ना नहीं? Anti-clockwise direction में. अरे ठीक है ना नहीं? So your path number 4 will be infinity e to the power plus pi by j to infinity e to the power minus pi by j. So plus pi by j to minus pi by j. And always remember that the path number, another thing, the path number 4 will start from the end, from the free end of the mirror image. The path number 4 will always start from the free end of the mirror image. Free end of the mirror image. Now, this will be like this. Okay. And now the number of encirclement will be, see, this one is encirclement, blue one is 1, green one is another one. So n is equals to 2. Number of encirclement will be 2. Okay, you will find that it encloses the unit circle. Minus 1, say 0 will be enclosed. Will be enclosed. So मैंने भी find out करिबो निजे करि परिबो तो एवडा सब निजे करि परिबो procedure कहिली. So this will be enclosed. This minus 1 j0 will be enclosed and that will be enclosed 2 times. This blue one and this green one. Okay. Hence n is equals to 2. Now you can see if n equals to 2 and you know that n equals to z minus p. This is number of poles at right hand side of the S plane. Number of poles हमें transfer function to find out करी परिबो. S square means number of poles at origin is 2. And here number of pole will be, you can find out the number of poles. You know we have to find out the poles. So there in the origin and in the negative half, negative real axis means no pole will be in the right hand side of the split. ठीक କହିଲି ତ no poles will lie on the right hand side of the split. ସବୁ ତକ negative real axis ରେ ରହିଲା ଠିକ ଅଛି ନା ନାହିଁ ତାହେଲେ ମନା ନାହିଁ so one is answering ବୁଝି ପାରିଲ ନା ନାହିଁ and z will be z we don't know and the poles at the right hand side is 0 hence you can write down z is equals to 2 z is equals to 2 means two zeros will lie on the right hand side of the split hence the system is unstable hence the system is unstable stable. You can write down as the system is unstable. As z is equals to 2, two zeros will lie on the right hand side of the split. Here n is the number of encirclement of the critical point minus 1 j0. Z is number of zeros in the right hand side of the split. 4. P is the number of poles in the right hand side of the split. ବୁଝିପାରିଲ ବୁଝିପାରିଲ ନା ନାହିଁ
yes ma'am
ତମକୁ କ୍ୱେଶ୍ଚିନ୍ ଦଉଛି ଯୋଉଟା କି ତମେ କରିବ ତମର ରେକର୍ଡ ଠିକ ଅଛି so for the record I will give two examples ଗୋଟାରେ whole set origin ଦେବି ଆଉ ଗୋଟାରେ no whole set origin ଠିକ ଅଛି write down one is 10 divided by one is 10 divided by ঠিক আছে দেখো যদি ବି କରିଥିବ ଆଉ ଥରେ କରିଦେବ s into s plus 1 into s plus 2 s plus 2 this is transfer function number 1 the second one is 40 divided by 40 divided by s plus 4 40 divided by s plus 4 into s square plus sorry 40 divided by s plus 4 into s square plus 2s plus 2 s square plus 2s ঠিক আছে থিওরিটিক্যালি তো হয়ে গেল প্র্যাকটিক্যালি কেমতে করব থিওরিটিক্যালি হয়ে গেল প্র্যাকটিক্যালি কেমতে করব you will write the command okay you will write the command as you know CSE then closer nearer then first you have to write down your transfer function that is that is our niya 10 then your denominator और निया वाला denominator का s into s plus 1 into s plus 2 କେତେ ଆସିବ order 3 ଆସିବ ହେଲା ନାହିଁ 1 3 2 0 ঠিক ଅଛି କି ନା ଟିକେ ଚେକ୍ କରିବ ଏଟା ଅଛି
yes ma'am ठीक ଅଛି
then g equals to तुम्हें transfer function और तुम्हें जेमती भी transfer function नबा କଥା तुमने नबो directly भी तुमने नहीं पढ़ो and the command for request plug is there is an inbuilt command request inbuilt command request is there okay then you can calculate your margin, phase margin, crossover, by using all margin D. এটা আগে ইউজ করতে হবে প্লটে মানে না ইউজ করতে হবে না all margin.
Yes, ma'am.
The same all margin command কোনটা ইউজ করব এটাকে তুমি দেখিব crossover করতেছে যেটা আমি দেখুছে যেটা ক্যালকুলেট করুছ তুমি whether you are getting the same value or not সেটাকে দেখিব and we will find out the request plot. ঠিক আছে ক্যালকুলেট पे नीचे नीचे करो अभी टाइम আছে constant
কথায় যেহেতু ম্যাম তা সাথে
ওকে তোমার টিউসডে দিন না কুইজ টেস্ট হবে না
আগে ম্যাম
ঠিক আছে টিউসডে there will be quiz test তোমার ଏବେ ভ্যাকেন্সি তো রহুଥିବ other weekdays ରେ एग्जाम ସରିଲାଣି ନା ପ୍ରୋସେସ କଣ୍ଟ୍ରୋଲ
ଆଜ୍ଞା ମ୍ୟାମ୍
ପ୍ରୋସେସ କଣ୍ଟ୍ରୋଲ କେମସି ତ ନେକ୍ସଟ ୱେଷ୍ଟର ଭ୍ୟାକେନ୍ସି ଅଛି ୱେଷ୍ଟର या फिर
ନାଇଁ ମ୍ୟାମ୍ ଲ୍ୟାବ୍ থিওরি ନ ହେଲାଠୁ ବି ସବୁ ଲ୍ୟାବ୍ କ୍ଲାସ୍ ଗୁଡ଼ା ହଉଛି ଫୋର୍ଥ କୁ ଅଛି ଏମପିଏମସି ର ଲ୍ୟାବ୍ ଟେଷ୍ଟ ମ୍ୟାମ୍
ୱେଷ୍ଟର ତ କିଛି ନାହିଁ ୱେଷ୍ଟର କରିଦିଅ ତୁମେ ଯଦି ଶୀଘ୍ର ଦବ ସେତେ ଭଲ
ୱେଡନେସଡେ ଅଛି ନା ମ୍ୟାମ୍ ୱେଡନେସଡେ ହିଁ ଅଛି ଲ୍ୟାବ୍ ଟେଷ୍ଟ ଟ୍ୟୁଜଡେ କରିପାରିବା
अच्छा ताले ट्यूसडे तुमने लैब टेस्ट भी दे दियो और क्विज भी दे दियो भाइबाटा सैटरडे फ्राइडे करबो
ଆଜ୍ଞା ମ୍ୟାମ୍
सैटरडे गोटे दिन रे हबा निर्माण दीटा ग्रुप रो केमति करिबो गोटे दिन सॉरी वन
ମ୍ୟାମ୍ ଦିଟା ହବ କନସିକ୍ୟୁଟିଭ
दीटा रिकॉर्ड फ्राइडे सैटरडे दे दिन मिसे के करबा
फ्राइडे भी ମ୍ୟାମ୍ ଅଛି ଏମପିଏମସି ଫେରେ
को आप रे अछि
ଫର୍ଷ୍ଟ ହାଫ୍
सेकंड हाफ करबो
ମ୍ୟାମ୍ ଗୋଟେ ଦିନରେ ଦି ଦିଟା ରହିଲା
ଆଉ କେମତି କରିबो ତ थर्सडे କରିबो
ମ୍ୟାମ୍ ମଣ୍ଡେ ସେକେଣ୍ଡ ହାଫ୍ ଆପଣଙ୍କର B2 ନେଇ ଯାଇ ପାରିବେ
मंडे सेकंड हाफ वैकेंसी करने के लिए कुछ
ମଣ୍ଡେ ସେକେଣ୍ଡ ହାଫ୍ ତ ଆମର ହିଁ ଲ୍ୟାବ୍ ଥାଏ
बट ये सीनियर स्टार्ट हो गया
ଓହୋ ମଣ୍ଡେ ଫାର୍ଷ୍ଟ ହାଫ୍ ବି ହବନି ମ୍ୟାମ୍
मंडे ओपन ठीक है ମୁଁ ତମକୁ କାଲି ଇନଫର୍ମ କରିଦେବି whether Monday possible କି ନୁହଁ
ଆଜ୍ଞା ଠିକ୍ ଅଛି ମ୍ୟାମ୍ ଟ୍ୟୁଜଡେ ଦିନ ଆମେ କୁଇଜ୍ ଆଣ୍ଡ ଲ୍ୟାବ୍ ଟେଷ୍ଟ କରିଦେବା ମ୍ୟାମ୍
हाँ ट्यूसडे क्विज लैब पे समस्त साइमल्टेनियसली दबो मंडे कोबे भी किछि जण पिलाकर करे दबो सेकंड हाफ मंडे आई विल लेट यू नो सम ऑफ द स्टूडेंट्स
ଏଇ ମଣ୍ଡେ ମ୍ୟାମ୍
हां
ନା ମ୍ୟାମ୍ ଏତେ ଜଲ୍ଦି ନୁହେଁ ମ୍ୟାମ୍ ଟିକେ
आओ कबे नेक्स्ट सैटरडे और मंडे
ଆଜ୍ଞା ମ୍ୟାମ୍ ସେୟା କହୁଥିଲି
तो तुमको मैथ्स पे सेंड कर अछि ये सैटरडे 7th 29
ଆଜ୍ଞା 27 or 29
24th से कौन अछि वेडनेसडे
एमपीएमसी ର ହିଁ ଅଛି B1 ପିଲାଙ୍କର
थर्सडे
ଫର୍ଷ୍ଟ ଡେ ଅଛି ପ୍ରୋସେସ କଣ୍ଟ୍ରୋଲ
अच्छा थर्सडे प्रोसेस कंट्रोल अछि तो कंट्रोल भाबे तो दे नहीं पारिबो
ମାନେ ସେଇ ମ୍ୟାମ୍ ସେଇ ଦିନ ଫାର୍ଷ୍ଟ ପ୍ରୋସେସ କଣ୍ଟ୍ରୋଲ ର କଣ ଏକ୍ସାମ ଅଛି କଣଟା ଅଛି କହିପାରିବିନି କିନ୍ତୁ ମନେ ନାହିଁ
चलो तुम्हें प्रोसेस कंट्रोल से कंट्रोल दे पारिबो सेटा तो साइमल्टेनियसली करियो तो 25th और 27th रे दे जो माने बाय चांस किछ प्रॉब्लम हला देन 29th को दिन हाथ रे खाओ मते नेक्स्ट माने डिसेंबर स्टार्ट होगा तो मार्क्स सबमिट करे अछि डिसेंबर के
ଆଜ୍ଞା ମ୍ୟାମ୍ ଫର୍ଷ୍ଟ ଡେ କୋଉ ହାଫ୍ କରିବେ ଫର୍ଷ୍ଟ ହାଫ୍ ନା ସେକେଣ୍ଡ ହାଫ୍
ଯେତେବେଳେ ତ ତମର କୁହ ତମକୁ ଆସେ ଦବ
ଦିଟାକୁ ଆକ୍ଚୁଆଲି ଫ୍ରି ଅଛି ଥର୍ସଡେ ଆପଣ ଖାଲି ଅମିତ ସାର୍ କ୍ଲାସ୍ ନେବେ ଅମିତ ସାର୍ଙ୍କୁ ଆଗକୁ କହିଦେବି ବସ୍
ଏ ଅମିତ ସାର୍ ତ 11:30 କ୍ଲାସ୍ କରୁଥିବେ
ଅମିତ ସାର୍ଙ୍କର ଅଛି 1:30 ରେ କ୍ଲାସ୍
1:30 ରେ ଅଛି ତ 11:30 ରୁ କରିଦବା ଏ 11ଟାରେ ଷ୍ଟାର୍ଟ କରିବ
ଆମେ ମ୍ୟାମ୍ କେତେ ଟାଇମ୍ ଲାଗିବ କି
ଯେତିକି 2 ଆୱାର୍ସ ରେ କେତେ ଜଣଙ୍କର ସରିବ 20 ଜଣଙ୍କର ଏଟଲିଷ୍ଟ ସରିବା ଦରକାର ନା
ଓକେ ओके मैम ताहले हमें ट्यूसडे दिन लैब टेस्ट एंड वाइवा दे सॉरी लैब टेस्ट का क्विज दबा दीटा का ग्रुप
हाँ then
Thursday
most probably गोटे ट्राई करिया गोटे ग्रुप रे सॉरी जिवो बोली B1 रो जदि नो सरला इन एनी केस वी विल सी कि तो सैटरडे B2 रो
ओके मैम
ठीक अछि हमरा Tuesday there will be quiz and lab test for both the groups then Thursday B1 viva then Saturday B2 viva
आगे थर्सडे 11 ऑनवर्ड्स कोई देरी पिलांगो मैम
हां हां
ओके मैम
ऐसे बात हम
yes ma'am हेगला
serious
ma'am at an equals block
yes Somnath you can say right say you know your path number 1
ma'am eta path 1 eta path 2 the mirror image path 3 is somewhere between here
which if you calculate that one you will know whether it encircles the point or not critical point or not because
yes ma'am
okay calculation solve the mention the stability which one is stable which one is not mention that in your record okay yes okay so all of you may leave now